Thanks for joining us today on Big Talk. This program may contain sensitive subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, Sophia.
Hi, Cindy.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What do you think of the set?
I love it. I love it. It's nice. It's just change.
I hope everybody out there likes it too, because it might change again. Who knows?
Like your hair?
Yep. Let's welcome our new guests.
Okay, well, today we have guests on Lisa Sobry, who is an author and a survivor of abuse.
Okay.
And we also have Marcy David, who is also an abuse survivor.
Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And I hope we can make it as comfortable as we can for you.
So, either or, what was your life like growing up?
Mine was very traumatic. There was a lot of mental, physical, spiritual abuse.
In what way?
I was molested
Oh.
from as far back as I can remember. The earliest recollection I have, I believe I was 3, and there was physical abuse involved there. So it's been a journey.
Yeah, I guess so. Marcy.
I had a great childhood. I had a wonderful, loving family. Went to private school, summer camp, swimming lessons, gymnastics. I had a great childhood. You know, I loved
Yeah.
school. I had friends. No trauma.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So it started
Yes.
when you were an adult.
Yes.
About how old?
34.
Oh, wow.
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 Yeah.
And for you, it was
3.
It was a 3. And was that a family member?
Yes. Yeah, it was my dad.
Your dad. And for you?
My partner, my boyfriend.
Oh my Lord. What else can you elaborate a little bit more on what happened and what you recall?
It's a long story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's, when I was 16, I reported it to Child and Family Services.
And what did they do?
They told me that I was not in the Winnipeg jurisdiction, that I had to go to Brandon. And I went to Brandon, and I ended up staying the night. My sister and I stayed the night in foster care. And the next day, they talked to the RCMP in our small town, and the RCMP said that my boyfriend was this really bad person that did drugs and drank a lot, and you shouldn't believe anything the two of them say because it's all a cooked-up story. And the police officer that spoke to Child and Family Services was also one of the guys that my dad played hockey with.
Oh.
So, small town,
Yeah.
700 and some people. So everything was pushed under the carpet and under the rug. And a few years later, my kids were abused by my brothers. And it came up in the school system, and it was reported to the RCMP. And when it was reported to the RCMP, there was nothing there on my dad. Everything was erased. It was gone. There was no files, nothing.
Oh, my Lord.
So it was as if it
Never happened?
Never happened.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's been difficult. It's been
Yeah,
very difficult.
That would
Yeah.
be. That would be very difficult.
Marcy, when did it start for you?
I just had my son, and he was about 8 days old, and that's when all hell broke loose, and I was beaten.
Did you go to the hospital? Did you report it?
No. And perhaps I should have, as we all say I should have.
Yeah.
I was scared. I was alone. I was a new mother, and I didn't have a lot of support around me at the time. And I just thought it was going to be a one-time thing, and we'd get past it.
Now, was he drunk, or did it just come out of the blue?
I think he'd been drinking that night.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it did stem from something.
I could see something very scary happening and something dangerous about to happen, and I decided at that moment survival instinct kicked in. I had to leave.
Yeah.
And he didn't want me to leave. And I got into my car, and he opened the door and pulled me out and beat me black and blue.
Wow. I'm so sorry.
It was shocking.
Yeah, I
For
would
the-
say so.
First time I was a statistic.
Yeah. Especially growing up with no prior
No,
idea that this even happens.
this happened
right?
to other people.
Yeah, that you hear about, never
Yeah.
expecting it to happen
The
to
people
yourself.
in the news. It didn't happen to me.
So can you explain how your life changed from being abused? Like, from what it was prior to you being abused?
I would say when I found my spirituality is when I started to change. And that was in my, I think I was 27, 28. I started learning about myself and understanding there was more to life than being on the hamster wheel, is what I call it,
Yeah.
and repeating things. But I still kept repeating,
Right.
even though I knew. And I thought, oh no, this one's different. This one's different. He's not going to hurt me. He's not going to drink. It just,
Because you didn't know anything else.
I didn't know anything else.
Right.
I knew how to, if anything ever came up, I knew how to fix it. I knew how to make it right because that's all I knew.
So for you, there were multiple
There was multiple abuse.
people that abused you. It wasn't just
Yes.
your father. It was
Yes.
in relationships as well.
Yes.
Wow. So it became a habit.
It's all I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better.
Oh
I
my
just
God.
knew if somebody started yelling and screaming, the best thing for me to do was get the hell out of the house and get away from them.
Duck and run.
Yep. Because next would be the fist.
Wow. And was it just your partner for you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say fortunately, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That was it.
So,
Wow.
like, prior to his first, how was things? Like, did you even suspect him to be an abuser?
I knew he had a history,
Okay.
a not wonderful history, and he'd always treated me so well. You know, all
Yeah.
kind of put me on a pedestal, and I thought I was immune to it.
Wow. So how many years was it, or was it years before it started?
Oh, I had known him for probably 15 years or so.
Before this started?
Yes.
After
I mean,
you
we
had
hadn't
the
been
baby?
steadily together.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I knew he had had a violent past.
Wow.
But we had been together before,
Mm-hmm.
and he treated me well, and I somehow thought I was above it.
Was he one of these people that would say, I can be better?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that to you, and I'll be a better person than I was to these people that you know of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So how has your family life changed now? Either.
Well, my kids were abused, so there's a lot of abandonment issues. There's a lot of not feeling protected by their mother. I always protected my kids from their father, like from my dad.
Yeah.
But I never ever thought that my brothers would abuse my children.
Yeah.
So it's our whole family dynamic has been changed. I don't even know what normal is.
Yeah. Or who to trust.
No. Because people keep telling you. Sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Let it out. You're in a safe place.
They tell you to trust them.
Yeah.
And then after a year, it's like they have you on the hook. And then they go right back to whoever they were before. It's everybody else's fault. It was never their fault. And that's probably the signs that were there
Yeah.
to pay attention to, is that they're blaming everybody else and not taking any responsibility for themselves. And now I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me a long time to figure it out, but I get it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about you?
Well, in what sense? Like,
Are you still together, or are you?
Well, actually, it's quite a long story, but yes. We separated for about 1.5 years, and that was when I had enough. And I actually said, I have to leave. I have to leave, or I am going to be a headline if I don't get out. And I left, and I had a restraining order and cut ties. And about 1.5 years later, we reconnected, kind of by accident. And I was not in any way open to speaking to him or having anything to do with him. Somehow, the relationship built up again. And he presented himself as very apologetic, and I thought, okay, yeah, I've heard that before. I've forgiven you. And it took a lot of action, a lot of show me, for me to give him a chance again. He's been part of a program where he's been able to deal with his anger issues, and I don't want to say recover, because it's not a recovery, but it's like an AA program where he's committed every day to living that difference.
Right. So how is responsibility, what does it look like for you, and how do you think it is for your abusers?
In my case, he takes full responsibility and tells me every day, it wasn't your fault. I can't believe what I did to you. You know, I look at you and you're so small. How could I? How could I do that to you? What kind of monster was I?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I mean, he's fully taken on
The responsibility.
all of it.
Well, I mean, that's got to be somewhat of a little bit of a relief for yourself, but yet for you, you have to take that responsibility on for yourself.
I do, and I was
Yeah.
told it was love.
Yeah. What kind of love is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you realize there was a problem in your relationship?
When I was pregnant, he grabbed me. Just held me against the wall. And he doesn't remember this, and we talk about it. But that was just the first time anyone had put their hands on me. And that was the beginning of the signs
Yeah.
for me.
Wow.
And how long did that go on for? Like after that first incident?
Nothing again until after the baby was
After the
born.
baby was born?
And then
Wow.
it kind of went in up and down, you
Yeah.
know, like with the whole cycle of the honeymoon and,
Yeah.
you know, it
So, for you two, what is your biggest fear? We'll let Mercy go first this time.
my biggest fear that I made a mistake.
Do you think it'll be passed on to your children? Do you fear that?
I fear it, but we've taken every measure that we can at this point. I mean, I've had my son and we both went to trauma therapy for a year intensely. He's been working with social workers, and he's also going to be going to the program that my boyfriend is a part of, the men's group. So they're starting a piece for fathers and sons.
Oh, that's good.
So the children can have that opportunity to talk about what they've seen and talk about how they feel. So I'm feeling like we're taking all of the steps necessary
Right.
to prevent that, but who knows?
That's right. Can only hope, right? And how about you, Lisa?
What's the question again?
What's your biggest fear?
Getting involved with somebody and repeating the pattern again.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, I think I've done it enough.
Yeah. How many times have you been in a relationship that has led to this?
3 for sure.
Yeah.
The last one, there's very similar to you. I had a restraining order against
Yeah.
him, and I moved 2 provinces away. I moved to Alberta to get away from him and left my businesses and my friends and my house, and
That's
Just
unbelievable that we
left.
have to go to those extremes to stop it from happening. That nobody looks at us and says, you know, what about the victim? What about that person?
So, to the women out there, what do you want to tell those women who may be in these circumstances,
yeah.
these relationships? What do you want to tell our female audience?
I want to tell you to get out as fast as you can, because if it's a repetitive behavior, it's going to happen over and over again until it gets to the point where you end up where Marcy and I are, taking out restraining orders to be safe, moving away to be safe. Like, that's, you know, in Marcy's situation, it's a little different. He went for help.
Yeah.
In mine, he laughed. He laughed when he got arrested. He laughed when he went to anger management. It was all a joke.
Wow.
So he completed
So-
the program?
He went to anger management, and they stayed the charges, so he was never charged. So I write so that women know that they're not alone.
Right.
Our experiences may be worse. They might not be as bad as theirs, but you're not alone. And our system is not made for women. It's still made for men. Unfortunately, we have the right to vote, but who do we vote for? Men.
Are there any words of wisdom that you could give them other than that?
Stay strong.
Stay strong.
There's other women that have survived.
Find
Yeah,
people.
and find your women's resource centers, mental health, whatever you need to find. Crisis hotline, just make the call.
Crisis hotline.
Crisis hotline
Okay.
will help you too.
Any other places they can hit and ask them for? Or
Doctors, your
Doctors.
doctor's office, you can be referred to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Counseling, anything like that will start
Yeah.
in the right direction of you being safe, and have a safe plan. If it's going to be worse and worse, and it seems like in your situation it just blew up, what's your safety plan? Where are you going? What are you doing? I guess.
We will have information at the bottom of the screen on with our credits for people to need help. Please seek it. Don't ignore it.
I just want all the women out there to know that you're worth it. You deserve it. Your children deserve to see a strong mother.
I do.
And you can do it. Have a safe plan. Have the support around you. And go. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
We will be right back to discuss more after the break.
Welcome back to Big Talk.
And welcome back to our guests.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you're an author. So, when did that start?
2005, I was actually teaching a Reiki class, and one of my students said, well, how do you get rid of all this stuff? How do you let it go? And I said, well, I journal. And he's like, well, I'd like to read that journal. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. That's like, woo, no, that's not going to
A
happen.
little too much info.
Too much. So 6 months of convincing me and talking to me, and I taught another Reiki class, and he took that Reiki class, and I said, okay, fine, I'll give you my journals. And he happened to be a student that was taking writing
Oh,
at
wow.
the University of Winnipeg. And he said, you need to write this as a book, because I know 2 ladies that need to read this right away. They're talking about suicide. They think they're alone. They've been abused.
Oh my God.
And I started writing, and when I started writing, all the emotions and everything that was attached, I couldn't even read the book. The first 3 or 4 times, I just kept crying. Every time I tried to edit it, I was like, I can't do this. This is too much.
What's the title of your first book?
I survived.
Appropriate.
It is. So it talks about the abuse I survived at home as well as in my marriage. And
Wow.
yeah, so it was tough. It was really hard. And it took 2 years before I finally said, okay, I'll publish this and let it go. And that's what I did. So now I have 6, I believe, and I have 3 more that are coming out.
Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what are the other 3 about?
One is called New Beginnings, which talks about moving to Kelowna, getting married again, moving to Ontario, how everything changes once you get to Ontario, more alcohol, just keeps going. And the last one is Surviving Domestic Violence, which is the last one in my series because I am not repeating this pattern again. I'm done. I'm finished. And it talks about what we mentioned earlier about the restraining order and things that led up to the abuse and times that I could have walked away and I didn't because I kept thinking, well, he's going to change. And then the third one I'm working on right now is Who I Truly Am, Volume 2, which is a little bit more in depth on the spiritual side of moving closer to angels and connecting with angels and the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. Kabbalah is, I refer to it as the Tree of Life. And it's basically connecting us back to wherever we came from. Yes.
Kind of appropriate, wasn't
Yes,
it?
very much. Yes. So it's connecting more to your spirituality, to whoever you believe in, God, universe. And when you do that, you have to let go of your past. And that's where I'm at right now is letting go of that. And it's been a year of working through lots of stuff. Yeah. I had another breakdown and it's been a journey. Yeah. But there's so many women out there, and I encourage all of them, like I said earlier, get help or write. You mentioned that you're interested in writing.
I'd love to write a book.
You should go for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Lisa's an inspiration now, and I
Got a
think I'm going to
collaborator now.
follow your lead.
Got a
Because
collaborator.
It's
somehow,
a way of therapy too.
yeah, when I write,
Yes.
it brings it all together,
It
and
does.
it releases it.
It does. It does. You can read it, see it, and get rid of it.
And my counselor is actually, she said we're going to do a burning ceremony afterwards. So
Yeah.
we're going to give it back to the universe and, just try and release more as much as I can. And then I'm taking off to Nelson, BC for 6 weeks to go find myself.
Actually, my brother and sister-in-law live there, and I went there for the first time, and it is very beautiful there.
Is it?
But I'm a prairie girl.
Okay.
I'm very much a prairie girl. For me, I felt claustrophobic there because all I could see was this wall of trees right around me, and this little hole of earth, of the sky above me, and it was like, get me back home.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm just
but
going.
it is beautiful there.
I'm going to go and see.
You'll love it. You'll love
I
it.
think if I'm immersed in the spirituality,
Yeah.
I think I can find my way.
Yeah.
Well, I know I can.
So
I
you
can
find
my
that
way.
that really healed you
Big
and helped
time.
you, turning into a faith of your own.
Yes.
And finding something very specific for yourself.
Yes.
So are you going to write a book, Marcy?
That's a plan.
Yeah.
I'd like to start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Step by step, I'll get there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Share some of my story.
You guys are so brave
Definitely.
Yeah.
and so wonderful. Like amazing.
Oh,
Your
I think
inspiration.
It's time for the world to know that this is happening.
Yeah.
It's not being shoved under the carpet anymore. It's time for it to be exposed and time for people to start having to take responsibility for their actions, whether they're male or female. Like,
Exactly.
That's enough.
Exactly.
It's
'Cause
enough.
it's not one gender.
No.
No,
It's all genders.
No, it's all.
It's everywhere.
There's
it's
no
everywhere.
boundary as
There
far
isn't.
as race or class or
No, or
Yes.
age.
exactly.
Very true.
There's just thousands of people walking around with their brave face on,
Yeah. Yeah.
not knowing where to go or what to do, but they've got that face because another thing is the minute you disclose that, you're under the gun to take action right now. So once you open up, you have to be prepared because you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm in an abusive relationship and then talk about something else. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're ready, you can't talk about it.
Yeah. And be ready to go.
You have to be ready.
Yeah.
So everyone's just walking around with this face on, with all the stuff going on behind.
And little
You
do
don't.
we know.
We don't
We
know.
do not know.
You
how
ladies
much
just gave a lifeline to a bunch
somebody and
of
for
people
sure,
who are watching today.
definitely.
You guys just gave them a lifeline.
Yeah.
That they're not the only ones out there. That there's a way out.
There is definitely a way out.
So
And I've repeated it enough times that I know there's a way out. I have the pattern. You don't want it.
Yeah.
No.
Well, thank you so much, ladies.
Very welcome.
You guys were wonderful. I appreciate everything you've given us.
Yes.
If you can
And
make a
given to our
difference-
viewers.
If it can make a
Yes,
difference
yes.
in the life of one woman or that one man who may think twice before he raises his hand,
Yes.
then this is worth it.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on Big Talk. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Until next time on Big Talk.